Good morning and welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning. If you're watching us live on Facebook, thank you for that. Please remember these videos do stay on Facebook all the time. You can go back and watch them at your leisure. If you're watching us online, we do upload these shows to www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. We have audio and video versions up, and they are free, so you can go check them out whenever. If you ever feel like you heard something in the past or just want to catch back up later, you can always go check those out. Getting into your traffic this morning, I-12 is flowing with some minor on-ramp delays. However, some heavier delays at 4H, that intersection of 4H Club Road, River Road, and 190. A lot of delays on 4H, so please keep that in mind. However, 190 and River Road looking pretty clear at the moment. Some minor delays on 64, however, heavy on Greenville Springs, probably due to the start of school. Of course, you're looking at a lot of traffic in and around the school areas. We are first day of school, part 2, for those A students. And no, it doesn't have anything to do with their grade point average. They are just Group A. So Group A students started school today. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a bit. But you will, while it's not as bad traffic, because not every student's going to school today, traffic's still a little rough as people get back used to that commute, bringing their kids to school in the morning. It's currently 76 degrees. 95 degrees is your high today. 75 your overnight low. Going to be a mix of clouds and sun for the day. It is going to be hot, so please keep that in mind. It's going to be a pretty rough one today, pretty oppressive, not very nice. So the higher temperatures coming. Going to be about 98 with that heat index. Getting into your mitigation efforts real quick. Wear a mask in public. It is a mandate. 6 feet or more of distance between yourself and others in public. Wash your hands for 20 seconds or more. Control your cough and sneezing with an elbow or a tissue, preferably your own elbow. Don't touch your face, my favorite one. 25 or less to a gathering, preferably less. And stay home if you're sick, and utilize telehealth to get in touch with your doctor, and stay home to work if at all possible. The U.S. Chamber Institute for Legal Reform, that's a mouthful this morning, released a video just last week focused on Louisiana, actually, and Louisiana being the lawsuit paradise was the name of the video. It estimates that $44 million to $113 million in revenue for the state, and actually for small businesses as well, and larger businesses, those who are in and around mainly the oil business, lose that amount of revenue every year due to offshore lawsuits. That's just offshore lawsuits. We, of course, a major focus of this last legislative and special legislative session was, in fact, the open air of lawsuits with regard to car accidents, and trying to remove that, trying to find ways to reduce the car insurance rate here in Louisiana, which is one of the worst in the nation. So that was the first place they attacked. They might attack other things, but again, it's a multi-part series. You can find the link on our website. Again, the U.S. Chamber Institute for Legal Reform. This is a video called Louisiana, the Lawsuit Paradise. Very interesting set of videos. It goes into a lot of depth into a lot of different industries. Getting into your COVID-19 statistics this morning, 131,399 cases statewide, 4,145 deaths, 1,540,571 tests, 89,083 recoveries, 1,383 are currently hospitalized. That's a good number. It continues to drop. 210 are on ventilators. In Livingston Parish, 2,924 cases, 51 deaths, on 27,518 tests. We already talked about it before. It is, again, the first day of school, part 2. On Friday, Group B students went for their first Friday of the year. First day of school as well. Still a lot of students getting used to that digital side of things. There are only about 7 to 8% of students are signed up for virtual. However, that Group B that went on Friday will be virtual today. Please remember that your child must sign in to Google Classroom for the day and complete the relevant assignments for their classes. So that is important. On the other hand, Group A goes to school for the first time today. Of course, they will have the temperature checks, as you probably saw the photos on our Facebook page yesterday. 6 feet or more of distance in terms of social distancing. Smaller class sizes because you're looking at 50% of students minus those who are doing virtual. So it's going to be an interesting day. We're going to see how they roll through this today and move into, I guess you can say, more of a pattern schedule here with Group B students returning tomorrow. So, of course, Group A today will go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Group B will only go Tuesday, Thursday. Next week, Group B will go Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And Group A will only go Monday, Wednesday. There were complaints at the school board meeting last Thursday, which was, of course, sort of an interesting time for a school board meeting to show up. The night before school was to start, many parents came and expressed disappointment in the fact that a Group D for students had been established. So Group A, of course, is the group that's going today. Group B went Friday. Group C is virtual students. Group D are students that will be going to school every day. Now, these are not necessarily high-risk students, but they are high-need students. There are also the students who are children of teachers. This is a big deal, according to Superintendent Joe Murphy. These children have to come to school because otherwise the teachers cannot come teach because they cannot either afford childcare, there is no available childcare, or some other reason that child must come to school if they are the child of a teacher. There it is. So that was Group D. But that was kind of sprung on people late, as it was discussed internally, and then it was sort of presented to the school board at that meeting, and a lot of people were very disappointed in that. Now, it had been discussed, or at least people had become knowledgeable of it before that school board meeting, but that was the first time that it had been formally introduced to the board. So that was one disappointment. The other disappointment was a lot of people said that they should be able to return to school 5 days a week immediately. Of course, that's according to the school's return to school plan. That is saved for phase 3. So there's no 5-day-a-week school instruction at school until phase 3. Several parents and concerned citizens brought up that many other school districts nearby were hosting 5 days a week for school, even for elementary and things of that nature. The difference being, according to Superintendent Joe Murphy, one was that a lot of these districts have a huge portion of their population that are doing virtual learning. So it's a little different. They don't have as many kids coming on campus, even if they're split up in between A and B days. The other difference was this is the school board's plan here in Livingston Parish that's been agreed upon in terms of following the CDC guidance. Because of the student population at most of the schools, there's just no way for them to follow the guidance and do 5-day-a-week instruction with all those students on campus. So of course that is going to be a big deal going forward. Not everybody real happy, I guess you can say, about those developments, at least from the Livingston Parish Public School Board. But we have moved into school. School has begun, and we are going to be trying to catch up with Mr. Rob DeArmond this week to talk about the sports scenario as school has started. On Friday, the 21st Judicial District Court, it was in Miss Brenda Rick's court. However, Brian Abels was the presiding judge, so he ended up signing the temporary restraining order against Firehouse BBQ in Watson. What that meant was they had to cease and desist all operations as of about 3:30 p.m. yesterday. However, they did not. Over the weekend, they continued to operate. Several reports came out that Firehouse was doing pretty gangbusters over the weekend. They're getting a lot of business, a lot of people coming in to eat, a lot of people coming in to pick up catering. So the governor will continue to respond to that situation. According to the sheriff's office, if they do get a call from Louisiana Department of Health, it will probably be they who have to respond to the call and, I guess you can say, enforce that restraining order. So we will see what will happen starting today, Monday, as folks come back to work. But again, Firehouse BBQ continued to operate despite a restraining order being signed. Now, again, they also have to be served with that restraining order. So while the document is technically official as of 3:30 p.m. when it was signed, the clerk of court didn't get it until about 4:30, and the governor released it. Somehow got a copy before the clerk did, and released it earlier that afternoon, probably about 4 o'clock. So it's out there. However, they must be officially served with this. So we will see what happens once they receive service. They did know about the restraining order. They continued to operate again over the weekend, had a good weekend in terms of business. So we will see how the governor and the Louisiana Department of Health respond, probably today or tomorrow. This all comes on the heels of just late last week, a judge in the 19th Judicial District, which is in Baton Rouge, upheld the mask and mitigation efforts, which is, closed bars, reduced capacity for restaurants. It will be interesting to see if those who have been, it was a group of bar owners and restaurant owners from Jefferson Parish, which is Metairie area, had sued the governor over over these mitigation efforts. The judge upheld those. It can again be shifted up to appellate court and could eventually go to the Supreme Court if those folks want to continue to push that lawsuit. But that was upheld. Also last week, very interesting, there was a lot of insinuation, especially from Red River and DeSoto Parish. Actually, they straight up came out and said that Louisiana Department of Health was overinflating their coronavirus case numbers, that they were adding duplicates and that things weren't the same. According to the legislative auditor, who dove into the numbers from early June leading up to the end of June, his report cleared the Louisiana Department of Health. He said there was a miscommunication between the two. He said that there are a lot of redundancy measures built into the system to take those cases out, and that as time went on, eventually the local cases for DeSoto and Red River parishes came back in line with what the state was reporting. So he said that there was a gap in reporting and that it was not accurate for a time, but for the most part, those numbers are accurate, according to the legislative auditor. Now, he did say that he will be dedicating a larger team to go deeper into the LDH numbers to really get the best idea if they are attempting to be accurate and if they are indeed accurate. But as of right now, he is saying that they are for the most part. Now, what the most part means, I'm not entirely sure what that definition is, but he has cleared them. That would be clearing the Louisiana Department of Health of any kind of redundancy issues. They are working on that, and for the most part, have built-in algorithms as well as doing spot checks on different regions to find out exactly where some redundancies might be and removing them. So they are attempting their best to keep those, duplicate names where a junior might be left off, or duplicate addresses where it may be just a little different, like avenue spelled all the way out. They are doing their best to get those removed from the data so they do not convolute the issue. So they are working on those redundancies, trying to keep them out of the data. And the legislative auditor has said as much. Of course, again, he will be taking a larger team to dive in a little deeper on the LDH's situation, probably sometime in August. The legislature does expect to still meet in October, still kind of in wait to see how things will pan out over the next few months after President Donald Trump signed a stimulus package of sorts over the weekend. We'll talk about that in just a second. But they are still focused on an October session, trying to catch up to see what they need to do with regard to the budget and with regard to the state management coming up here. October was the initial date. Again, they had a special session to try to release a budget that was mostly focused on car insurance, which they kind of passed some things. We're not entirely sure if it's going to affect car insurance or not. But the legislature is still on track to meet in October. We talked just briefly about it just a second ago. President Trump sort of did an end around on Congress and signed his own, I guess you can say, stimulus package that would do things like, or temporarily suspend or defer payroll taxes and extend, extend unemployment benefits and defer payments on student loans. Those were kind of the big deals that were parked in there. There are a few questions as to how exactly that's going to work. The new extension of unemployment benefits will be $400 a week as opposed to $600. And the deferment on payroll taxes puts some things in jeopardy, including Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. That's where a lot of those payments come from. So there's still, in signing that, it seemed like it created a lot more questions than it solved. Of course, those questions will probably get answered over the next 48 hours, today, Monday, and tomorrow, Tuesday, as we find out just exactly, because he did sign the bill on a Saturday evening. So we'll find out over the next couple of days just exactly what the effect will be and if Congress will have any add-ons or response looking for him to sign. But he did sign that over the weekend. Going to see if it they're going to check it to see if it's enforceable this week and to see exactly what the effects will be. But again, please remember to keep signing up for those unemployment benefits through the Louisiana Workforce Commission. Also want to mention to folks, we're still not entirely sure if what the governor said is accurate, in that once the unemployment trust fund in Louisiana drops below 100 million, that payroll taxes go up. We're not sure, at least payroll taxes with regard to those the unemployment trust fund, not necessarily payroll taxes with regard to Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. But we're going to keep an eye on that. He did say that once, as mentioned, once the unemployment trust fund drops below 100 million, there is a 30% increase on the taxes paid by businesses into the unemployment trust fund. Seems a little counterintuitive, but those are the people, the businesses are the ones who keep it funded. So you kind of run into a little catch-22 there. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. And so it's going to be interesting to see how the state operates as we approach that $100 million barrier. We started the novel coronavirus in April with about $1.3 billion as a state in that unemployment fund. It is now down below $300 million. So we've spent about $1 billion so far. It's going to be interesting to see where it goes from there. Again, at its peak, there were almost over 100,000 unemployed individuals in the Baton Rouge area. That dropped to about 57,000 when the unemployment benefits were set to run out July 31st. So it's going to be interesting to see how many people in that pool were able to find work right there at the end of the benefits. It's been a wild Monday morning, a packed show. Let's wrap it up. Let's go back through these COVID-19 statistics real quick. 131,399 cases statewide, 4,145 deaths, 1,540,571 tests, 89,083 recoveries, 1,383 hospitalized on 210 ventilators. In Livingston Parish, 2,924 cases, 51 deaths, 27,518 tests. Getting into these mitigation efforts, wear a mask in public. It is a mandate. 6 feet or more of distance between yourself and others in public. Wash your hands for 20 seconds or more with soap and water. Control your cough or sneezing with an elbow or a tissue, preferably your own elbow. Don't touch your face, my favorite one. 25 or less to a gathering, preferably less. Stay home if you're sick and utilize telehealth to get in touch with your doctor, and stay home to work if at all possible. Please remember, for your traffic today, I-12 is flowing. There are some minor on-ramp delays. Heavy delays on Greenville Springs. Minor delays on 64 heading that direction. Heavy delays on 4H Club Road, but River Road and 190 looking relatively clear. Of course, here we are, your first day of school. Lots of traffic in and around the schools as individuals get used to that, or families get used to that commute again. It's currently 77 degrees. 95 degrees is your high today. 75 your overnight low. It's going to be a hot one, going to get up to about 98 with that heat index. One last time, my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us for the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. We are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays at $7 a month to get that in your mailbox. We are also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com. We have a podcast page, which is free, a coronavirus page, which is free, and a breaking news page, which is state and national news, as well as arrests, which is free as well. We invite you to check that out. We hope you have a great day. Please try to stay cool, because it is going to be hot. Not as hot as it was back there in like mid-July when we had the heat wave, but it's still going to be very hot today. So try to stay cool, wear the loose-fitting clothing, drink that water, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.